Now, to a different type of crime altogether, and one that's potentially life-threatening.
Between June 2011 and July 2012, there were nearly 25,000 people killed or seriously injured on our roads. And a quarter of these were caused by dangerous driving, reckless driving and speeding offences. Cameras have vastly reduced the number of collisions on our roads, and we've seen a 35% reduction at camera sites nationally.
But some people make a sport out of dangerous driving. The screeching, squealing world of illegal underground street racing. At night, dozens of cars and bikes tear around the roads we use every day, while hundreds of spectators cheer them on. The driving, often reckless. Accidents, frequent. The problem was so bad in Birmingham in particular that, worried about the potential loss of life, police launched a covert operation to crack down on it. Sergeant Paul Bilauskas was part of the investigation team tasked with stopping the racers.
People will turn up en masse and they'll race along the public road. We had speeds of 127 miles an hour. This will go on up until like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, keeping up residents, but this is all about public safety. Somebody will die.
24-year-old Chris Sinclair knows all too well about the dangers of street racing. He had just left work for the night on his motorcycle. Ahead, 2 cars had started racing each other on this single-lane main road, weaving in and out of traffic. At this junction, one lost control and swerved at 70 miles an hour right into Chris, who was coming the other way.
What I do remember from the accident was crunching engine noise, a sound of a high revving car, another crunch, and then it all went quiet and I closed my eyes then.
The car that hit Chris's motorcycle was driven by Nikash Sultan. His car was so badly damaged by the impact that it couldn't move. The other car was driven by Umar Qureshi. He fled the scene of the accident. It was 2 whole weeks later before Chris woke up in hospital.
I've been told when the car hit me, I was 50-odd metres down the road. You know, my body was higher than the lamppost, top of the lamppost. So I was spinning in the air and I landed quite hard on my neck.
The damage to his brain caused by the blow he'd received had left him temporarily unable to recognise his friends and work colleagues. He had shattered his left leg, with the ankle, knee, thigh bone and hip all broken. Both his wrists were fractured and there were 3 breaks in his neck, which meant he had to wear a metal head brace for 3 months, day and night, while they healed. He had also lost the sight in his right eye. All as a result of the foolhardy driving of 2 men. It was exactly to avoid this kind of accident happening that the police wanted to clamp down on the illegal street races congregating in Birmingham. When Paul and his fellow officers came across these gatherings, they were a no-go zone, even for the police.
It was too dangerous because there was 400 or 500 people, literally. A number of people damaged police vehicles, they either have flat tyres or window screens had been smashed by people throwing bricks.
Outnumbered, Paul and his colleagues needed a new tactic. They had to get intelligence on who the regular offenders were. They pinpointed this set of traffic lights as key to identifying and catching them.
2 vehicles will pull up alongside each other and race from the traffic lights into the distance. They'll do a track along the Heartlands Parkway and the A47 and come back and and literally do the same thing again.
Paul and the team asked special permission from Birmingham City Council to install surveillance at this crossing. They fit multiple cameras with microphones. If the racers stop here, then they can be clocked and their number plates read. And when the footage comes back, even experienced officers are shocked by the behaviour these cameras capture. While one car waits at the lights, another one fails to brake in time.
God forbid if that vehicle would have crashed into the side, heaven knows what would have happened.
But the worst was yet to come. A 15-year-old boy is taken out into the middle of the speeding traffic by the adult in charge of him and encouraged to start a race. A few minutes later, he's back out on his own again.
And I knew if we didn't do something that there would be some serious harm or a fatality.
But now the police could do something. With this footage, they could identify the cars and number plates of offenders. And when the culprits were unmasked, there was a surprise.
The term boy racer doesn't describe them. The majority of people are late 30s, early 40s that have grown up with this culture.
The police brought 400 separate prosecutions, with many receiving heavy fines and driving bans. The operation has had a massive impact.
Street racing has significantly reduced, to the point where members of the public and local business are actually saying this is no longer a racetrack, and they're able to go about their daily business and use the road as they once did.
The two reckless drivers that caused Chris's horrific crash were eventually found guilty of dangerous driving and jailed for 16 months apiece. They were also banned from being behind the wheel for 5 years. Chris faces a long struggle to recover, but he's now engaged and is getting on with his life. He has a message, though, for anybody tempted to race.
Go to Silverstone, take your car as fast as you can around there. If you crash, you're crashing into a tyre wall, you're crashing into sand. Don't put other people's lives at risk. It's just not worth it.